So a few months ago, I started hearing rumblings about this new comedy that was making waves at South by Southwest, apparently based on a Canadian TV series I had never even heard of. So when I got the chance to attend a screening, I figured why not, and I went in totally blind. The movie was Nirvana the band, the show, the movie. And dear God, I'm so glad I did. Because within 10 minutes, I realized I wasn't just watching a funny movie, I was watching something that felt different, chaotic, weird, and borderline illegal. And the wild part is, I had never even seen the show, but by the time the credits rolled, I was instantly a fan. Now, I'm going to keep this review completely spoiler-free because when Nirvana the band, the show, and the movie finally hits theaters in February, you should go in knowing as little as possible. That's honestly the best way to experience it, the same way I did. But for the sake of getting the word out and trying to convince you to add this to your must-watch list, let's talk about what makes it so special. First, a little history lesson. Nirvana the band, the show, started as a web series back in 2008, which is a very different era of the internet. Before TikTok and before algorithm-driven recommendations, this was the time of Newgrounds, early YouTube, sketch comedy groups like Derek Comedy and College Humor. And tucked away in that era was Nirvana the band, the show. A low-budget Toronto-made web series by two lifelong friends, Matt Johnson and Jay McCarroll. In 2017, Viceland picked it up for 2 seasons. Yes, Viceland. A cultural time capsule of the 2010s. Now, despite consuming tons of comedy during this time, I somehow missed it entirely. Maybe because I'm in the US and they're Canadian, maybe because the algorithms weren't quite as desperate for my attention back then, but who knows. The point is, I went to this movie with zero context. So here's what you need to know. Nirvana the band, the show, and by extension, the movie, centers on Matt and Jay, two friends in a band called Nirvana the band. Their goal is somehow by any means necessary book a gig at a real-life Toronto venue called the Rivoli. That's it. That's the whole premise. But what they do with that premise is comedic genius. Each episode of the show, and the film itself, follows them as they pull off increasingly absurd, elaborate stunts to promote their brand and get attention. The magic is they blur the line between what's scripted and what's real. They film on the streets of Toronto, they prank real people, they insert themselves into public events. Half the time, you're not sure if what you're watching is performance art, a hidden camera bit, or an elaborate scam. I would kind of describe it as a mix between Flight of the Conchords and Nathan For You. Somehow, all that works together to create something totally unique. And yeah, seeing this in a packed theater was an experience. Everyone was laughing their asses off. Exactly what you want. And here's what's so impressive about it. Even though I had never seen the series, I could still pick up on the entire vibe, the themes, the characters, the dynamic, all from the movie alone. It's kind of like watching Borat without ever seeing the Ali G show. You don't need the backstory, the chaos just works. Here's a fun little tidbit. Matt Johnson, the co-creator and star, also directed Blackberry in 2023. You know, the movie about the rise and fall of the world's first smartphone. Apparently part of the reason he took that job was to help to fund this movie. And honestly, that's kind of perfect. Blackberry was one of those sleeper hits, sharp, funny, surprisingly emotional, and easily the best entry in that short-lived corporate origin story trend that gave us things like Air and Tetris. I kind of like Air, so whatever. But you get my point. And now that I've seen this, I get it. Matt Johnson is on another wavelength. He has that rare ability to make something feel totally improvised and out of control while secretly being very precise and intentional underneath it all. So how was the actual movie? It's one of the funniest things I've seen in years. Even compared to other recent hits like Friendship or the Naked Gun reboot, this stands out. It's not just funny, it's inventive and gutsy, and it's very punk rock. As someone who grew up on 2000s comedies, you know, Anchorman, Superbad, Hot Fuzz, the weird energy of 2008, this movie hit me right in that sweet nostalgic spot. And yet, Nirvana the band, the show, the movie doesn't feel dated. It feels like a time capsule and something totally fresh. I honestly don't understand how they pull off some of the stuff they did on what's clearly a shoestring budget, in public with real people, but that's part of the magic. I'll say it again, no spoilers, no specifics, just go see this when Neon releases it wide in February. I wasn't paid to make this video, I wish I was, but as someone who loves comedy, I just had to shout this out. Nirvana the band, the movie, the show is one of the funniest, smartest, most joyful pieces of chaos I've seen in a long, long time. And if there's any justice, it's going to become a cult classic the second it drops. Have you seen the original Nirvana the band, the show? Sound off in the comments, and hit the subscribe button if you're interested into whatever I'm doing here. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.